Oh, well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Uh, my name is Janice Williamson, and we are uh, sitting for a moment in a cross-legged position. If you're have have if it's too much for you to sit like this, you could put blankets underneath you, um, like this, or a block. And we're going to begin by just breathing, inhaling through our nose. And when we are exhaling, we'll just hum. So we will inhale. Mm. Inhale. Mm. Inhale. Mm. 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 And now just regular breathing, inhaling and exhaling. And I'm just going to um, twist gently to one side, putting my hand on the opposite knee and lifting up while I'm turning. And then I'm moving to the other direction, pressing my fingers behind me and lifting up to the other side. And we'll do this one more time on each side, just lifting and turning gently. And now let's take the one foot in front of the other, so we have a different cross on our legs. If you like, you could sit in half lotus or whatever suits you. So we're going to just lift our arms up, and then we're going to turn the heels of our hands out and lift our arms up and turn the heels of our hands out. Good. We're going to roll our shoulders back and then forward. And we're going to cross our arms and then hold our shoulders, walk our fingers towards our spine. You can massage your shoulders if you like. And we're opening up one more time and doing the same on the other side. Good. Now we're going to open our arms up again. We'll take our left arm across and then our right, bend the right elbow and draw it up, and then draw that shoulder across. You could have your arms in eagle arms if you like, or you could just use this as an opportunity um, to basically invite your shoulder to be more accommodating, to be less achy during the day, to uh, uh, really stretch out your shoulder here and your upper arm as well. Good. And now let's open our arms out again. And the same thing on the other side. You can either have that one arm, in this case, it would be uh, your right arm stretched out and your left arm hooked underneath, drawing it in, or you could have your eagle arms, or just breathing here. Very nice. Let's open our arms out again. Press our hands into the ground with our fingers pointing away from us and stretch our chest open. Oh, really feel I'm doing this early in the morning with some of you, and this feels so good to stretch my chest out. Good. And then rolling your shoulders around. Very good. All right. So let's just put our feet out in front and do our windshield wipers. So our feet are approximately the width of the mat, and we're just rolling. I'm just leaning back, rolling one hip in and then the other. And this is very good for your hips. I'm doing it slowly because it's early in the morning, and I want to make sure that I'm not draining any other part of my body. And you'll find that one hip may be looser than the other. I have a bit of a compromise, I think, in my one hip. So you figure out what is working for you, and you don't want to feel any pain. Might be a little uncomfortable, but no pain. Very nice. Good. And let's sit back and stretch our feet out. Stretch our arms up, clasping our arms, our upper arms are covering our ears, and then we're stretching our arms out again. And we're stretching our toes out, our feet out, and we're going to stretch our toes a bit, and then we'll lift our heels up, and then we're going to rotate our legs from the hips out, rotate them back, just rotate them around like drumsticks. And here we go. Very nice. Mm. All right. Now if you have a belt nearby, you could get your belt. And if you like, you can sit on a blanket. I have just a couple of folds in my blanket, and I am sitting on the blanket just to lift my hips up. All right. And we are going to just bend forward. You could have your strap around your toe mound here, a gentle clasping of it. You don't need to really grip it. There shouldn't be much tension in your arms at all. And you're just going to fold over from over top of that hip crease with a straight back. Now, one reason to have your hips elevated slightly with a blanket is it helps give you a kind of automatic tilt forward with your torso, and it helps minimize back strain. Because sometimes people overstretch and strain their back doing this. So now we're just drawing down here. I'm actually drawing the crown of my head towards the corner of the room and then towards the opposite wall. Then I'm imagining that I'm actually straining, stretching, not too much strain, but stretching towards my feet. And then at a certain moment, I can just hold on to my feet. And you could hold onto your thighs or the tops of your toes or the outside of your feet if you like. I know that there's a photograph of BKS Iyengar, the great teacher. When he's doing forward bends, his hands are on the other side of his feet, and he is clasping a wrist with one hand. So I don't know. My fantasy is he had extremely short legs. That's how he managed to do it. But I think that's not the case. So we're just going to let your head hang. If your neck is sore, you could take a block and rest it on your shins and rest your head on the block, if that is a help to you. And we're breathing here. We're breathing into our beautiful back body, which is open. And we're feeling grounded in our legs and in our sit bones, which are on the ground. You might find as you stay here for a moment or two that you're able to move forward, their head forward towards your feet a bit more. And your inhalation, you might rise up a bit. And your exhalation, you're going to drop down slightly, perhaps. And inhale, rise up and extend your crown of your head towards your feet, and then drop down. Good. Now let's just roll up here and open our arms up into a lovely movement with our arms, opening them up and opening them out. Good. Let's just put one hand on the ground on one side and lift our arm up and just stretch one side over, bending the other elbow. Very nice. And let's do the other side, stretching, 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 really elongating that side body, and then coming back. Okay, let's just draw our legs out here, and we'll do the same thing on each side here. So I'm just going to rotate. I've got a bit of a cramp in my hip. So if you have a cramp, make sure that you work it out a bit. I did a lot of teaching yesterday, so I'm kind of a bit stiff today. All right. Okay, so, all right, there we go. So you find you can take it wide or take it a bit narrow, whatever suits you. And we're just twisting towards that foot. You could have a strap on your foot here, holding on to it with the opposite hand and twisting towards it and coming down towards that leg, and then just allowing yourself to fall forward. And while you're doing that, I'm going to be reading from one of our chakra studies here. Svadhisthana is the second chakra, and it is the location is in the pelvis, and it's called the sacral chakra. The sense is taste, and it is considered to be the dwelling place. That's what the meaning of Svadhisthana is, the dwelling place. The first chakra that we have talked about before is Muladhara, which is the root. So the second chakra is taste. The element is earth. The color is orange, like my cushions back here. Now you can come up now, just come up gently, and then twist towards the other side slightly, just so that you're over top of that thigh, and then with a strap, holding it with the opposite arm, or you could hold onto your toes or your shin. You can come down and extend your crown chakra towards that foot. At the same time, there's a tendency you could lift the other hip up and then put it down. So you want to be balanced on your tailbones, on your sit bones rather. You only have one tailbone, on your sit bones. All right. So you go and keep there for a minute. I will be through this in a minute. So the mantra for the second chakra is VAM. And the purpose of it, whereas the root chakra is safety and stability, the purpose of this is movement and connection. The orientation for the first chakra is self-preservation, and the orientation for this chakra is self-gratification. Last week, the root chakra was all about survival. This week, the sacral chakra, second chakra, is all about intimacy. Last week, we were thinking about being rooted, grounded, and the universal principle is gravity. And this week, the universal principle is pulsation. The emotional spectrum last week was from fear to faith or hope. And this week, the second chakra is an emotional movement from guilt to self-love. And now you can come up and let's just bring our feet in, and we will put our feet in. First, let's put our feet in Baddha Konasana. Draw your feet towards your pelvis, and once again, you can be sitting up on some kind of a blanket or a block, depending on how much elevation you like. And we'll draw these in. I'm just holding onto my toes and sitting up with the with that magnanimous puppeteer holding on to the string at the top of my crown chakra and drawing my axial skeleton from the sacrum at the base of my spine all the way up to a star hanging there. So my teacher, Pat Harada Linfoot, is the author of this table of contents that really opens up the chakras in all kinds of different directions. And she is a student of Buddhism. So she links the second chakra, which is, of course, a yogic principle, to a Buddhist principle, the seven factors of awakening. And in Buddhism, the seven factors of awakening are the essence of spiritual practice. Mindfulness is the first one, and then today's the second. The one that would be connected to the second chakra is investigation. Then there's energy, and then delight, and tranquility, and concentration, and equanimity. So we're going to investigate today the second chakra, and it's linked to play, one of the seven universal needs. The last week, the universal need was rootedness, groundedness, and the physical. So that the physical, that's air, water, movement, breath, and rest. And today, the universal need is play, and I would say also pleasure. So this chakra is linked to emotions, releasing emotions, and also the sensual or the sexual. So I'm just drawing my legs out a bit here. So there's quite a big diamond here. And I am putting my feet together, but I'm opening up the tops of my feet and pressing my heels in. And I'm sitting up here. Very nice. Good. And I'm really feeling it's a nice release here. And I can feel myself elevating a little bit more. And I'm just going to stretch out over top of my feet. And you can go forward as much as you like. And you don't have to overstretch. You are doing your body, you're listening to your body. And here we're thinking about what it is to release emotion and what it is to hold emotion in. So in this practice, through our breath, we're going to inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And we can breathe into our back body, feeling the beautiful expansion of our ribs as though they were accordion ribs, opening up and then releasing. And now we're going to just lift up and extend our feet out. Very nice. So we've done some back body breathing. We've done some side bends, shoulder work. Let's do a bit of hand work, fingers, just the spidery web of movement, the mobility that keeps us nimble and supple into our advanced years. I went to a very good play last night and met my friend Jacques, who is a concert pianist. And I hadn't seen him for a few years, and he said he was getting arthritis in his hands and he had to keep performing or he would lose the ability to play. I thought, well, now I'm shaking my hands that, well, there's a real important testimony to the significance of mobility and moving when you develop arthritis in any part of your body. You should, of course, consult a doctor. There are different kinds of arthritis, and some, problems with your spine, etc., require different kinds of attention, not necessarily the kind of movement that we're doing here. All right. So let's bring our feet together and let's come onto our hands and knees. We're having quite a relaxing morning today, and we are going to lift our spines up, and we're going to feel that our groundedness in our hands, our fingers are stretched out, and our opening in our chest. We're just going to come up and feel all through your spine. See if you can feel what happens if you feel that you are pressing up through the upper ribs, and then the middle ribs, and then the lower ribs, and then the lower spine. And now we're stretching down and releasing. And we're stretching up and down and up and down, up and down, up and down. Good. And let's go into puppy pose. We'll stretch our underarms. So our hips are over top of our knees, and we have our hands stretched out here, and we are just allowing our our underarms to open up. And here we might want to think in our mind's eye, in our heart mind's eye, how we can exhale everything that is bothering us. And we live in this world and not be subject to some of the stresses and strains that can torment us. How do we allow our emotions to ebb and flow and keep ourselves in a sense in a state of equilibrium? How do we take care of ourselves? How do we play? How do we develop our sense of play and pleasure in the midst of busy lives? How do we forestall the reaches of despair when, as the Buddha says, we are always already perfect and we can't really do much to help others if we're not feeling centered and at ease? All right, let's walk our hands in carefully because my arms are stretching out. And let's just come up. We can draw our hands forward, come back into a child's pose. You can have either wide leg child's pose or your knees together. You decide. And here I'm going to draw my arms back and just stretch my hands, palms up beside my feet, and just breathe here. All right, let's stretch our arms out and press into the floor with our hands, turn our toes under, and we're going to come back into a bent leg downward dog. And we're going to do this at first, pressing into our hand, because we can. And it's a nice way to really do a toe squat, kind of standing toe squat. And then when we are coming back, we're lifting our tailbone up and we're straightening our legs at the same time. And you might find your downward dog is a little more acutely angled here. Good.
We're really breathing here, feeling a really lovely sense of release as we breathe into our back body, stretching and inhaling and exhaling. Good. Let's lift our left leg up. Move the chair out of the way. Good. Pointing your toe and just opening that hip up with a straight leg, stacking one hip on top of the other, and then rotating that hip back down again. Good. And let's bend that knee, draw it into the opposite elbow. We're moving quite slowly, and then we're coming back. Doesn't make it any easier to move slowly. It just makes your form more considered. And then the one other elbow, and then back, and then into the center, and then back. Good. And let's put both feet down. Let's lift the other leg up, pointing the toe, opening the hip up by stacking one hip on top of the other, pointing that toe, stretching, feeling that the shoulders are even while we are twisting our hips. Then come back down with your hip, and then draw that knee into the opposite elbow, and then stretch it back, and then into the same elbow, stretch it back, and then into the center, back. And now we're just going to walk back to our feet, and we're going to dangle here. And while we're dangling, I'm going to read a short piece from my my book that I really love, by Pima Children. The root of suffering keeps us unhappy and stuck in a limited view of reality is our tendency to seek pleasure and avoid pain, to seek security and avoid groundlessness, to seek comfort and avoid discomfort. This is how we keep ourselves enclosed in a cocoon. Out there are all the planets and all the galaxies and vast space, but we're stuck here in this cocoon. Moment after moment, we're deciding that we would rather stay in that cocoon than step out into that big space. Life in our cocoon is cozy and secure. We've gotten it all together. It's safe, it's predictable, it's convenient, it's trustworthy. If we feel ill at ease, we just fill in those gaps. Our mind is always seeking zones of safety. We're in the zone of safety, and that's what we consider life. Getting it all together, security. Death is losing that. We fear losing our illusions of security. That's what makes us anxious. We fear being confused and not knowing which way to turn. We want to know what's happening. The mind is always seeking zones of safety, and these zones of safety are continually falling apart. Then we scramble to get another zone of safety back together again. We spend all our energy and waste our lives trying to recreate these zones of safety, which are always falling apart. That's the essence of samsara, the cycle of suffering that comes from continuing to seek happiness in all the wrong places. All right, so seeking happiness in all the wrong places. Let's just roll up with that, contemplating that problematic state of being. And let's open our arms out now and lift up and open out again. So, pleasure and the sensual and the sexual and the emotional, complex concepts and intensities. Let's stand near the front of the mat. We're going to do some sun salutations, opening ourselves up and moving
down into another dangle, and then just coming up into a halfway lift, and then descending down again, drawing our left leg back and dropping the knee, lifting up into our beautiful light back bend here, and then placing our hands around our feet and drawing that front foot back. We're in plank. We're going to stay here for a moment and just contemplate what it means to look for pleasure in all the wrong places. All right, let's go back into our downward dog here, and we're going to do a bit of a flow movement back into plank and then down into upward dog and then back up into our downward dog. And we're going to do that a few more times, over into plank and then dropping our hips down without hurting our backs, stretching out through the heels while we're in this upward dog, and then lifting our tailbone up and coming back into downward dog. We'll do that one more time. We're just strengthening our arms here and feeling that power that we have in our bodies. We're just going to hold here. Then we're dropping down again into our upward dog, pressing into our heels, feeling our back bend in this pose, and then lifting our tailbone up. You can bend your knees if you like and press back into downward dog. And here we're going to pedal our feet out and really just come up onto our toes, pedal our feet, feel really a sense of, and then let's come forward again into plank and then into downward dog, pressing out through our heels and then back up. Very nice. We're getting some heat here. Let's lift the left leg up, pointing the toes, bend the knee, stack one hip on top of the other, toes up, bring that foot into your chest and come forward into a low lunge here with your knee down. I'm heating up here. And now let's lift our arms up and look up and come down. Let's do our put our heel out, and you can come forward and you can draw your toes back if you like. Do whatever suits you. And then we're going to come forward here, stretch our hip flexor out, which helps with our managing any lower back pain that you may develop. And once again, we're coming back, drawing the toes back, and then we'll come forward, you could press into the knee and really stretch that hip flexor on the opposite leg. Good. And coming back. Very nice. And forward. And let's put both hands inside this leg, both hands on the ground, and see if you can turn the toes under and lift that back knee off the ground into what is the beginning of lizard here. And see if you can draw your chest through your arms a little and pressing back through drawing the back thigh up. If you have your knee down, then you can simply feel that lovely back bend here and the stretching of your front thigh. So you do you. If you want to, you can come down into the lizard. You can put your forearms down, kind of sphinx arms here. And you could have the back knee down and just rest here. You can manage this however you like. Breathing. Good. And now let's put that back knee down. Press the hands into the ground, or you could keep your knee up. And let's just do a twist here. So pressing, you can bring the hand, in this case, I have my front left knee bent and my front right hand underneath my shoulder, and I'm lifting up the opposite hand. Once again, pressing into the back foot, lifting that thigh up and twisting here. And we are breathing. And dropping that hand down. And how am I going to get out of this? I'm trying to think. Okay, so let's just drop that knee down and reach around with your hand and see if you can pick up that foot. Oh, I don't know that I can do that this morning. I don't think I can. But if you could, my thigh is too stiff this morning. So I might just move it back and forth. And ideally, I will draw this in. There we go. Oh, painful today. All right. So let's come back one more time and let's just draw that foot back and put the other foot forward. And we'll do the same on the other side. All right. And come up and look up. And then up again. And then down. Good. We're going to just do those hamstring stretches. I'm drawing the toes back here. I was thinking, why am I so stiff today? But then I realized, well, I went to the gym yesterday and I did bench presses of 70 and then 90 and then 110 and then 130. And I think that's why I'm stiff today. Good. We're just going back and forth, feeling the energy in our body as it releases. And here I'm just pressing my hands into my just above my knee, onto my thigh, and feeling my torso lift up. Good. And then coming back, coming over that leg and drawing the toes back. And I'll do that one more time here. And back again. Good. Now I'm coming forward on that foot, and I have the back knee on the ground, and I'm going to put both hands inside and press my toes into the floor. And you can have, if you like, you can keep that knee down and just feel the opening in your hip flexor here. Or you can lift it up. And I'm working to find a sense of equilibrium in this open lizard pose. And now I'm going to come down with my elbows on the ground. You could clasp your fingers if you like, or you could just press your hands into the ground. Once again, lifting that back thigh up if it's up, pressing into the heel, and feeling yourself settle into lizard pose. And now we're going to rise up again. We're going to bring that opposite hand towards the center and then just open towards the other side in a twist. Pressing the thigh up, pressing the heel back, breathing into your back, into your side body, into your chest, into your belly, feeling the whole inside of your body open up like one giant lung. And now put that hand down, and we're going to try that. I guess now I have the same foot in front, I think. I'm going to try this again and hold on to the heel or the toe, whatever you can, and breathe. it's too painful, just come out and you could go back into it, or you could just come out of it. All right, let's put that foot down and come back, draw that front foot back, and move into your toe squat. So I'm spreading my toes out. I can use my fingers to make sure the baby toe is underneath. And I'm sitting back. And you might want to adjust your feet so you find exactly the spot that you need. Just sit back and do your toe squat. Oh. And you can stay here for a moment. And if it's too much, just move forward and slap your feet, lift your feet up and slap the fronts of your feet, and then you can come back into it. This is to develop resilience and also to help you maintain your balance and to age healthily through the course of your life. Your toes provide an important element in maintaining your balance, and you need to um, keep at it over the course of your aging. Good. Now let's come forward one more time. Walk our feet on the ground. Ooh, it feels lovely. Good. And let's come up. Let's walk ourselves back towards our feet here and just dangle for a moment. You can either hook your hands inside your elbows here, or you could cup that base of your skull with your hands and kind of extend your neck out a little bit. It's very passive, but it is it's a very useful, very useful for your neck. Just allows your neck to really extend out. And let's draw our hands behind us and clasp our fingers together. Draw your your arms over your back here, really stretching up with your hands. And now draw your hands down towards your spine and just lift your chest up. Yeah, very nice. Oh, and feel that opening in your chest. Oh, very nice. All right. So we have a few moments we're just going to do pyramid pose. So we're going to have a block beside us. We're going to do uh, a short stance, about 3 feet apart here. And I'm going to put the block inside my front foot. And I'm turning towards the short end of the mat. I'm just tilting over. And then I'm just going to let go. And you can put your hands on the ground. You could have two blocks here if you needed to have two blocks to keep yourself in balance. And I'm straightening the back. I'm drawing the back thigh back. I'm drawing this front hip back. And I am just folding over here. You could hold on to your ankle, see if you can balance there, which I don't think I can. Hope to try. Pressing into the back foot, pressing into the front foot, and seeing if I can just hold on to the front ankle. Balance here. And now let's put our the opposite hand down on the block
and just twist up into a reverse triangle. And we're extending our chest and our ribs up, rotating. And now we're coming down and pressing into our front foot and rising up. Oh, oh, very nice. All right, I'm just going to rotate my hips around just to counteract that big stretch in my glute. Now we're going to do the other side, and we're just going to put the other foot forward, about 3 feet. The back foot is on the diagonal, and I have the block on the inside of the front foot. We're just going to tilt over and come down. Very nice. Drawing that front hip back, feeling that sacrum releasing as we're here. Feeling as though the sacrum could release. I don't know whether the sacrum can release because it's the flat part of your spine, but I'm just massaging it with my hand, thinking about this chakra that has to do with play and pleasure. Very nice. And now I'm going to put my hand on the inside of that foot on the block, and I'm going to twist and turn my torso up towards the other wall, raising the arm and opening myself up. Very nice. Now I am turning, really trying to twist a bit more with my breath, breathing inside and then exhaling. And then I'm turning back. I'm going to put my hands out. Or no, I'm going to put my hands on my hip here and the other hip, and then I'm going to turn up. Oh, come on. There we go. Oh, that's a very nice morning's beginning. Moving my hips around again. Now I'm going to come down onto the floor and move into our final relaxation. And I will read a little bit while we're doing these things. I'm going to do a little bit of an inversion. So I'm taking a block and I'm going to place it underneath my sacrum. And I'm going to read from Radiant Sutras, which are really beautiful, kind of the Gnostic Gospels of these sutras. And these two seem to have a lot to do with the second chakra. So I'm bringing my feet into my chest and lifting my feet above my body. If that's too much for you, you can just keep one foot on the ground and raise the other one foot and then the other foot. And or you can just raise both feet up. Good. There we go. And here we are. I'm reading from the Radiant Sutras, 112 Gateways to the Yoga of Wonder and Delight. And I'm just doing with my legs what I feel like doing. So if you feel like bending your knees, you can do that. Feel like raising them up. Feel like opening your legs out. You can do that. Feel like moving them around in a bit of a circle. You can do that. You do you. Here we're using gravity to just open up our inner thigh a little. But you want to have no pain in your lower back when you're doing any of these. All right, I'm reading this now. This is Radiant Sutra of Wonder and Delight. Number 5. Follow the path of the life force as she flashes upward like lightning through your body. Attend simultaneously to the perineum, that bright place between the legs, to the crown of the skull, and to that shining star place above the head. Notice this living current becoming ever more subtle as she rises, radiant as the morning sun, until she streams outward from the top of the head into all-embracing gratitude.
thus become intimate with the life of all beings. And number 6 is also very lovely. I'll read that one again, though, because it is worth reading twice. Follow the path of the life force as she flashes upward like lightning through your body. Attend simultaneously to the perineum, that bright place between the legs, to the crown of the skull, and to that shining star place above the head. Notice this living current becoming ever more subtle as she rises, radiant as the morning sun, until she streams outward from the top of the head into all embracing gratitude. Thus become intimate with the life of all beings. Now let's put our feet together and draw our feet down into a kind of inverted Baddha Konasana, and then stretch our feet up, rotate our ankles one way and rotate them the other, and then bring our knees into our chest and place our feet on the ground. And let's just do a little bit of a bridge here so we can tilt our pelvis up and then press our feet in the ground, lift ourselves up, take that block away, and see if we can just wiggle our way into a bridge here by putting our hands underneath us, our shoulders underneath us, clasping our fingers or the sides of the mat, pressing our tailbone up, our thighs, and our chest. Very nice. And now we're going to roll down. We're going to just clasp our shins, roll back and forth, feeling a sense of release in our spine. And if you put your hands on your knees, you can rotate your knees around and massage different aspects of your lower spine and your hips. And you can go one way and then the other. And then let's plant our feet. Let's widen your feet out. We'll do a little bit of a windshield wiper here. We've been doing quite a bit of hip work just to bookend our class with some synovial fluid running through our hips. Good. Let's bring our feet back to center, our bent legs, feet on the ground, and let's lift our hips up and shift them towards the left, and then drop our knees towards the right, and then extend our arms out, looking towards the left. And just inhaling and exhaling into that open side body. And then rotate onto your spine, find your center again, lift your hips up and send them out to the left side, the right side and the opposite side, and then drop your hips. If your hips are shifted towards the right, your knees are falling towards the left, and you have your arms extended and you're looking out in the other direction. Very nice. And you can, if you like, you can put your hand on the thigh very gently. It just might extend your twist a little bit more. And now come back, hips into the ground, lift your knees up, and rotate your spine. Put your feet down, stretch your legs out, and we're coming into Shavasana or corpse pose. And I was reminded by one of the teachers I study with that corpse pose is actually intended to be uh, a posture in which we visit death. We become familiar with death. That death should not be something we fear or that we push away. It should be an awareness that we have in life, and that in the corpse pose we visit the experience or the imaginary experience of death. Hopefully, we do not expire on the mat, but we visit the imaginary experience of death and consider what it is that remains after death. In yoga, there is a sense of a pure self that is beyond the corporeal body and that endures. But we all have our own understandings of death. And I think the idea, especially as we age, of becoming uh, more familiar with it as a concept and as a kind of thought practice, the less fearful we are of it, the more we can be liberated into living fully and appreciating every day. And you can stay here for a while longer, however you like, or you can bring one foot up and then the other, and then draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a lovely cuddle. You could draw your hands up through your knees, hold on to the outside of your feet, and perform a lovely, playful, pleasurable, happy baby. An inverted squat that is a lovely pose. You could stretch your legs out, play with them, move your hips around, wiggle a little, or you could stay still. All right, and let's put those feet down on the ground and wiggle your hips to one side and roll onto your side. And in your own time, push yourself up to the seated position. And I'm going to, with your indulgence, read one more of these beautiful Radiant Sutras. This is number 6. Trace the river of life that flows through you, the luxuriously rising energies gradually touching each of the centers along the spine. Savor every shimmer of color along the way. Enter each area tenderly, loving as you go, finally, gently dissolving in the crown of the head. Then above, in the space above the head, the great dawn. With that, I will thank you for joining me today for our Yinish, Yangish, Hatha, Iyengar flow, bits and pieces, hybrid yoga practice. And I'm going to put my hands together, press them together, In gratitude for you sharing time with me, I dedicate the merit of this practice to all living beings. The teacher and the student and the light in me see and honor this teacher and the student and the light in you. Deep bows. Thank you. And I will turn the recording off until the next time.